doing art for a long time. The first sign I ever painted was there was this clock shop on Atlantic Boulevard, and the guy he had these really awesome antique clocks. So for no reason, I saw a space on the wall and I wanted it. I was like, I asked him, and for $60, he paid me, and I made it on a. He gave me the piece of plywood, and he pre-drilled the holes for it where he's going to mount it, and then I primed it, and then I painted it. And I painted a sundial, an hourglass, and a swinging big giant like 50s clock on there. That was cool. And in second grade, one of my drawings of some candles and candy canes and holly, or mistletoe berries or whatever, got into the school curriculum playlist for the school musical during the Christmas holiday. And, and it was always weird days because during the Christmas holiday, not every kid was, like when we were in school before the holiday, not everybody was there because they have other holidays for other people. So that promoted me to draw because the situations were different. When situations are awkward and different, I had the ability to go into creative mode. And when socialism and people are like such as they are, and it doesn't fit your wants and needs or feelings in life, if it's on paper, it's out of my head, was the initial thought. And I used to draw skulls and stuff, but everybody's like, oh, stop drawing skulls. And all of a sudden, there's skulls on baby bibs and stuff. It's ridiculous, They told me to stop drawing skulls because it was going to get me in trouble. They're going to put me think I'm angry and put me in an insane asylum and stuff for drawing crazy stuff. But yet everybody likes Dali and, Hieronymus Bosch is one of my favorite artists. Matisse, I got a love-hate relationship with Matisse, but he's a badass. Albert Durr, Van Gogh, one of my absolute favorites. Da Vinci. I'm starting to appreciate Picasso, in my later point in life. But Goya, I like those kind of conceptual artists, but Wyeth is a badass, dude. I mean, there's some paintings out there, and I found a Barry Leighton Jones painting, which is Lord Leighton. Ancestor. I traded that. So I learned about him, and there's a lot of really good artists. Van Eyck, awesome. There's so many. I can't even. And then there's like Boris Vallejo and Frank Frazetta, like during the times of Conan, and then with Clint Eastwood movies. I first started drawing in school like that because we'd have to draw the maps that were in our in geography class. We had to draw the maps of places, as we learned about the customs and traditions and what other people do in their own countries. And then I was starting to draw like cowboys and Indians on there fighting and having battles. So then I was drawing like that, and then I was drawing all the books too. And then I had patches, suede patches on my pants because we grew up very humble. And, my father built our house. So, like, I had suede patches because my knees were blown out. And you could make the suede go in a different direction, and it makes a mark. So I'd be sitting in class, how boring it fucking was, and not getting in trouble with writing in the books and the blank pages and stuff and drawing in the books. I would be, or on the desk, I'd be making drawings in my suede patches. I had two of them. I would put those patches together and make like one picture or two different pictures or like two pictures looking at each other. And it just became a thing. And then when people were mean to me, there was some bullies, and I never had a problem because I have certain abilities, but instead of fighting, I would just draw pictures, and I get rude with pictures. I have no filter as an artist. If I don't want to, I could draw some really, really nasty, even raunchy or hateful shit. And I have, and I can, and I do because it feels good. It's better than getting blood on my hands. I got paint on my hands. Okay, so, like, this one kid, he was German. Before I knew better, it was like anybody that was German was bad or had a bad history, and they're part of what exists. So, this German kid was picking on me. And, like, he was rough, and he was going the distance. Like, okay, it wasn't just exchanging fists. And then, like, okay, it always had to be a one-up thing. So I realized at that point. So I drew some pictures of, like, Hitler and swastika stuff. and all that, and all the devastation, and I put it on his locker, and then there was I solved that problem, and then there was another girl, a big giant girl that was picking on me and teasing me. So I had I had one piece of paper, 8.5 by 11 standard. They used to have ditto copies back then, carbon, and I drew like a head in the corner of the paper, or in the middle, and then the rest was her body. I filled up the whole rectangle piece of paper square with her body, and I was nasty with it. And this is in like middle school, but I've always done stuff like that. And then on Happy Valentine's Day, I'd have to give every girl a card, which was cool. And so I'd start making stuff, and I'd make my own cards too, because as a kid you don't have money often, and you can't get to the store. You're young, so I would make birthday and Christmas cards and shit and stuff like that for people. So drawing was always there, and doing models and stuff. Art has been always a big thing in life, and then listening to the animals and the sounds of nature has invigorated, the senses. So, you need life situations to find what works for you and what you could deal with and what kind of skills and abilities you naturally have. And then you work on, honing them so you know yourself more, because these are abilities that are given to you by fate, circumstance, translating into the Almighty. So it means something that you should do something with these skills. And as I progressed in art, and it's to know yourself too. It defines who you are in a lot of ways, and it makes me happy. But as I progressed in art, it just took its own thing, and I learned that I could use it for anything. And then I did art for people, for jobs. And I learned that I could do that myself without the people. So I was like, okay, instead of making like $10 an hour or $7.50 an hour, I could, like $7.50. It's like, it was different. I could get 2 jobs a month and make all the money working for myself, but I would have to get on the street and keep the flow of work going. So that's how that worked. But without these life experiences, I wouldn't have been able to know that it was a commitment. And then I had a lot of blue collar jobs. I had a lot of different jobs. I had a lot of career jobs. I had jobs with benefits. I had jobs at uniforms. I've stayed at jobs for very long times. I've had jobs in industries that have nothing to do with anything in my life, and I've learned something new. I'm not willing to do it anymore. I'm 50, fuck that. So I'm like, okay, I could do this myself, and I thought how I could define myself to make a living in the world, not depending on anybody. But that in a sense had taken me out of society, connecting to the awkward times in society where I'd always carry a sketchbook and be able to feel okay with myself, because even though people are being mean, or people are drinking too much, or they're fucked up on all kind of drugs, or I'm stuck there with them or whatever, I would always be able to draw. Or you're waiting in somebody's appointment and you just happen to be there, or they make you go with them, and the next thing you know, you're waiting for an hour. I have something to do. And with the sounds of all that, of being in nature and listening to the things that get my attention, it made me want to outdo those sounds. So not only is it like, if it's on paper, it's out of my head, if I could mimic those sounds, I could begin to understand what effects are going on that get my attention and that make that sound powerful enough to interrupt the thing. Which is like, if somebody has a lot of money and they go buy a tank, a Sherman tank, and put it in their yard, people are going to say, oh man, that guy must be a veteran. He knows how to use that. He's probably got 1 million more guns in it. If he'd be the safe place to be, his husband, if you follow. But all he did was have money and buy a tank. He doesn't know anything about it. He just says, hey, yeah, never mind. So it's the same way that works. So the sociological tools, societal tools that are used to embellish us and help us advance and create the lives that we want and want to be in, or get to where we want to go and whatever, those can be transposed in many different ways. So like with music and art, being that it was on paper, it's out of my head, I understood the power of art and what it could do once it's on paper, and how art lives and it makes things in a Fibonacci fractalizing effect, prismatic. Okay, my favorite color is Ralpheus orange. Right now, again. But with music, it's in another dimension of our physical reality and our perceptions pertaining to this plateaus and levels of our world. So, therefore, with that, to know the music thing is to also see another facet of people, because the sounds that people make are sounds with things that they are making sounds with, or what's coming out of them, most of the times words. So that's another thing to get to understand, and then to combine those two to figure out a text message without sound or emotion, just based on, and know that the mind works a certain way to not compose and translate the visual and audible energies and transmissions that we're creating and receiving and portraying and promoting. We don't have the level of communication that we need yet. And AI is helping with spelling and certain things, but the suggestionness and a lot of things are not right yet. And like as a traditional artist, not using a lot of computer equipment and stuff like that, even though I graduated with Art Institute with the first computer stuff, but I had, in 1993, I had a computer leased to me, and it was $371 a month. And I had a scanner. It was 1993. And it just took so long. And to do the work, to take the scan and then clean it up, it wasn't paying. Plus the $371 rental for the machine. So that lasted 2 months. And I created a shitload of drawings. It was a really cool thing for subliminal stuff. So that led me into the thing. And then to be beat up by the police after painting signs for 23 years at night to avoid society in the visual and audio that interferes with my craft. I only paint certain things when I'm happy. You know, going into the justice and legal system, being dragged through it and exposed and victimized by it, I learned how much of a part these facets of our reality pertain to the system we are existing in. And it is a system, and it's based on a formula varied from that which is divine and just in a light. For the most part, and that's why we have wars and stuff and feuds. And the thing is like, it really bolstered my personality to be an artist and to understand the world around me, and it's made me very different to the rest of the people around me. And some people get me right away, and they understand that, like, okay, you know, he's so knowledged in some areas and committed, it is a commitment, that there probably is a deficit, in all fairness, in other areas, like certain social interactions and stuff like that. And you know, my grandmother's a Cancer, and she had a lot to impose on my life. And I'm a Scorpio too, and my Chinese zodiac is a bull. And my planets are, one of my planets, I think, is Pluto. 9 or 10. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And, you know, as an artist, I've done so many things, like pinstriping, all kinds of paintings, oils, acrylics, gouaches. If you want to break down oils and go in enamels and alkyds, we can go there too. Whatever, dude. I've gold leafed on a boat in a wind tunnel, pretty much. Yeah, with all grip as an outline. Try that. That's not easy. I painted 139 feet up on a silo, a couple of them. You know, back then, I made $550 a day for like 3 or 4 days. It got rained on the one day, so yay. When it fucked the work up, you know, and there was a clearance issue, so whatever. But I painted circus stuff. I painted women's bodies without clothes on. I've tattooed. I've fabricated stuff, metal, wood, plastic, paper mache. I don't like to mess with Bondo type stuff. Any kind of sanding and anything like xylene, or I don't like lacquer thinner. And there's a couple of naphtha. All that crap got to get away from me. And I don't like a lot of oil-based paints too. I prefer not to use them at all, but I do because I paint buildings, industrial buildings, letters and stripes and building numbers and stuff like that, and bay numbers and department numbers. I paint it inside for grocery stores and auction houses, it's like a 5 foot by 3 foot plaque with 1,000 letters making up a couple paragraphs worth of words with a brush. Those are called show cards. They used to call them show cards. And markers like Chip Foose. He's the last guy I see with markers, dude. Fucking awesome. I would have went there to that because I always was into the car stuff. But the time has passed for me personally for a lot of these things to have a whole career isolated in that facet. And so I live as a freelance style artist. I pay taxes just like everybody else. Often I have business insurance if it's required, especially. Sometimes I have it just to have it. I have an office. I have gallery spaces. I've muralized whole restaurants. I've bartered for art. So the art life in the art world is really good. And for bands and stuff, I would draw in the hot rod community and even sports. I would be able to hang out with these people and all kind of other stuff too, like other industries and genres. Because if you drawn, you're taking a record. Somebody's going to be happy about it. You may get opportunity on it. And it makes things sometimes like. I've painted banners for bands and stuff. I love doing that too. It's really awesome. I'm talking big giant shit. One was the Dead Rabbits, and somebody took it. Somebody stole it when they took it down because we couldn't take it down that same night. So somebody took it down, and then it was in the office. Somebody stole it, but it had Dead Rabbit with all kind of hatchets and knives in it. Oh, it was awesome. It was probably like a 25 foot by 3 or 4 foot banner. And it was an FPL banner on the back because I could use old banners. And I used to hook up with people from vinyl and awning companies because you could paint awnings. You got to paint on the fabric. A lot of times they have to stencil it or print it, and then they have to position it. So it's very easy for me and to do a repaint. And awnings are very expensive, so to hook up with an awning and banner company, you get their scraps and misprints and stuff, and it's like. I basically had material and like the dumpster rating for substrates. And when people take signs down, sometimes or they just leave them up and they fall apart. You just do a couple slices and you got a sign placard. So I've managed to live pretty efficiently with reduce, recycle, and reuse. So so I chew up the evil. I chew up the refuse. I have and regurgitated it in a creative form to make lemonade out of lemons. But as an artist, I've had a lot of experience, and it is a way of life. And I can't have babies, so that's it gives me another piece of purpose. I was rejected from the military twice. And then they threatened to draft me with Obama. Bullshit. Right? Like I would even fucking go at that point. So as a purpose, I exist as an artist, first and foremost. Artist / musician, because I'm really, cymatics is the key for me. It's very important. So, with that being said, I'm going to have a Have a good day.